Good morning. It is Monday. Today is Remembrance Day. I'm not sure. I think all the Canadians and Europeans, you guys all have kind of the same thing, right? November 11th, end of the First World War. I know that for the Americans, Veterans Day is a little bit different. Anyway, Hobgrot Slittaboss. This is something that I woke up to this morning, like a leak or a rumor or something, but it looks pretty official to me. So we're just going to take a look and think about it and have a quick chat about it. But first, I'd like to thank all my patrons. Patreon is, of course, the best way to support the channel. If you're looking to, buy me models, I guess that's pretty much what I spend all the money on. It's a way that my wife will allow me to be ridiculous in my spending habits for Age of Sigmar, because it's expensive. So if you want to buy me a Hobgrot Slitta, make your way over to Patreon. Channel art by Wiberian, and save 5% off your order through Baron of Dice if you use code MDG at checkout. Okay, so here's a look at the whole thing. So if we look at it, so I'm sort of assuming that this Hobgrot is going to be roughly the same size as the other Hobgrots, probably a little bit bigger, which means if I'm looking at it, I'm guessing this guy is probably on a 32mm base, right? Because if he's about the same size as a Hobgrot, then the base just around his feet would be 25mm, but it looks quite a little bit bigger than that. Looks like it comes around on this side, so it does look like it's a 32mm base. This thing is sticking way out over the edge of the base, and so that's going to be annoying for me. I know that the way that the models look is definitely super important for everybody, but for me, I find that when little spiky pokey bits are hanging out too far over the edges, or when monsters are leaning too far over the edges, it can be a little bit annoying. I like it to be nice and clean when we play. Like the Mangler Squig is a good example of a model that works really nicely. It's got a lot of movement and lots of parts, but it sort of is contained within its base size. So looking like it's going to be a 32mm base. Lord only knows what it does, obviously, because it's specifically like a Hobgrot Slittaboss. It'll probably have an interaction with the Hobgrot Slittas. The Hobgrot Slittas right now are pretty bad, in my opinion, because they used to be cool when they could run and throw grenades. They used to be cool, but since this new book or whatever, they lost, I thought, the things that made them actually cool, and instead they got nothing instead. Really, if we're being honest, like right now the Hobgrot Slittas are 100 points, and then their scrap grenades 4-3-1-1. This used to be 3-3-1-1, and you could run and then throw the grenade. And then the Slitta knives were never that interesting. They used to have exploding hits. They don't anymore. They have nothing. So I think they used to be like 4-4-0-1 or something, or I can't remember. But they used to be able to run and throw their grenades, which was cool because, it was like you would throw 10 dice at 3-3-1-1. Like it was actually something. Like it wasn't amazing or anything, but it was something, And then just that extra movement and then that little bit extra damage. It was nice. I used to really like Hobgrots. They were cheap. They died. They threw grenades. They got in position. They were good. But now, if they're in combat on a 3-up, they take a mortal wound. No, they inflict one mortal wound and they can retreat without penalty. So now on a 3-up, they can retreat without penalty. It's like, ooh, that's not good, right? Like, it's just not good. Like, well, if you really need them to retreat and then they don't, it's like, that sucks. I feel like just their run and throw was probably still totally fine for this edition. So in terms of what he can do, like I don't know. There's nothing off the top of my head that really that is obvious to me, or that is something that would be really good. Maybe he'll let them run and throw their grenades again. That would be cool. I mean, I don't know. But to be honest, I'm not really excited for this. Of all the reveals that you could have given me for a Cruel Boy unit, I think this is maybe one of the ones I would have been the least excited about. I've always wanted more cavalry. I've been talking about this forever in Cruel Boys. Cruel Boys needs something that is fast. Gnashtooth Pup Pack was always my sort of go-to, either in squad, like on 32mm bases in squads of 5, like, right, like the pups. So they, you know, you can reinforce them into 10, and they're relatively fast, like even just a 10-inch speed, something like this. Or, you know, on 40mm bases, coming in units of 3, maybe even like 50mm bases, being something more like a Crocsagore, right, like a more elite cavalry unit. You could have an orc on the top or not, doesn't matter, but I've thought that either light or heavy cavalry in Kruleboyz would be the best thing to get. So obviously not getting cavalry units is a little bit disappointing. And another huge problem that we have with the Hobgrot Slittaboss is is he a drop? If he's a hero, because it looks like he's a hero to me, right? Like he's obviously a hero, but if there's no way that if he's just a drop, then then we're never taking him, right? I severely doubt that he's gonna come in and buff anything but Hobgrots or interact with anything but Hobgrots. And Hobgrots right now are not good. Like they're trash. I might play them. I'd probably play them at closer to 60 points than 100 points. So if he's a drop, I think he's probably just like a non-starter. And if he can be taken with Swamp Boss Scumdrek, right, to go with that whole Hobgrot theme, and he can give the Hobgrots something that's actually kind of useful, like maybe a free redeploy or something like that. Like, I don't know, but if he can give the Hobgrots something that's useful, and the Hobgrots come down in points, and he can be taken as a, what do they call them in our army? I can't remember what they call them. Someone said this earlier. But unless you can take it, like unless he doesn't cost a drop, unless you can take him with another hero, then I think he's probably just dead on arrival, straight up. So I think the probability that this guy does not get any play this season is really high. So if you're kind of like looking at this guy and feeling lukewarm, then I definitely feel like you should just wait it out. I think that trying to see what this guy actually does and if it's actually good, I think is definitely worth it, because you know me, I'm going to be ordering these guys before they even come out. I'll be ordering this guy on pre-release because that's just the kind of guy I am. Right? I gotta catch them all the greenskins. Gotta have all the greenskins. But the only other way that he might actually be really good, the only other thing that he could be that would make him actually like interesting to me right at the start, right at launch, is if he was either a wizard or a priest. He's not going to be a priest because we have no prayer lore, but maybe he's a one caster priest. You know, maybe that's all the heads. Maybe that's like some magical rack, and he's got this big sword, and he has an ability, and he's a one spell guy. If he's a one spell guy and he's cheap, like if he's like 100 points or something, and he casts a spell, we could talk about it. Then maybe he might actually be playable right off the go and something that I could actually get excited about. But, you know, I can't even just sitting here looking at Hobgrots and looking at a Hobgrot Slittaboss. I don't know what ability that they could give the Hobgrots that would make them awesome. You know, like pick a unit within combat range. They can run and throw their grenades. Yawn, right? Still not doing it. You know, give them crit mortals. Well, we already kind of have a way of doing that. So give them crit 2 hits. Well, pass, because they're not worth taking without the Swamp Boss Scumdrek. So, I don't know. I'm not really feeling this guy. Not going to lie. But please tell me what you think. Come join the Discord. Come tell me what you think. Let me know in the comments below. And if you do nothing else, like, subscribe. Wah.